Product analytics enable you to gather and analyze data about how users interact with your Vue.js app. To show you how to set up analytics, in this tutorial, we'll create a basic Vue app, add PostHog, and use it to capture page views and custom events. To demonstrate the basics of PostHog analytics, we'll create a Vue 3 app with 2 pages and a link to navigate between them. But before we get started with this tutorial, make sure that you have Node.js version 18 or newer installed on your machine. Also, make sure you go to posthog.com and create your own free account. Now, once you have those 2 things already complete, let's go ahead and do a npm install-g at vue/CLI. This will install all the dependencies that we need to properly create a Vue project. After the installation is complete, let's go ahead and say Vue create Vue analytics. You can name this project whatever you would like, but for this tutorial, I'm going to name it Vue Analytics. Here we get to choose which we would like. I'm going to say Vue 3 Babel ESLint. And if it's your first time ever creating a Vue project, it's going to ask you if you want to use npm. For this tutorial, I'm going to use the Node Package Manager. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and cd into our Vue Analytics or whatever you named your project. And now let's go ahead and go into your project, go into Source Components, and here I'm going to create a new component called homepage.vue. And then inside our homepage.vue, I'm going to add a template with a new div tag, with an h1 tag that says home, and a new router link that goes to an about page. Now we're going to do the exact same thing for an about page. So let's go ahead and go into your components, new file. Let's name this new Vue file about page.vue. And inside this file, let's go ahead and add a new template with a div, but this time the h1 tag is going to say about with a router link that goes to the back home. So it's going to be a 2-component application with a home page and about page with a link that navigates between them. Now the next thing that we need to do is install Vue Router. And we can do this by saying npm install Vue Router at 4, which means version 4. After this, we're going to create a new directory in our source folder. So we can say new folder right here, and we're going to name this router. And now inside our router folder/directory, let's go ahead and create a new file, which we're going to name index.js. And then inside index.js, we're going to paste in our routes. And then we're also going to import create router, create web history, and then our homepage and about page components. After this, let's go ahead and jump into your app.vue file, and let's replace this with a template which calls our router views. Lastly, let's go into our main.js and let's enhance it to now use our router. After you make those changes, let's go ahead and say npm run serve. This will start our application, where if we refresh the page, we can see that we have a home, which go to about, and we can go back and forth between our about and home component. Now, this tutorial is for using Vue 3. If you're using Vue 2, you can go to posthog.com and check out the documentation, which has documents on how to set PostHog up with Vue 2. However, with our tutorial, it is now time to set up PostHog. Again, if you don't have a PostHog instance, you can sign up for free by going to posthog.com. Let's go back into our terminal. Let's stop the application. And here, let's go ahead and say npm install posthog-js. This will download all the dependencies you need to be able to use PostHog in your Vue.js application. Next, let's go into our source directory. Let's create a new folder called plugins. Inside our plugins folder and directory, let's go ahead and say new file. And inside here, let's say posthog.js. Now inside our posthog.js, let's go ahead and say import posthog from our posthog.js, which is the library that we just installed. And then we're just going to say an export default where we install the app, and then we set up the configurations for PostHog. So here we need to pass in the API key, and here we need to pass in the instance address and host. If you go into your PostHog application and you go to Settings, you can scroll down until you can see your API key. Now, also inside here is a script. This script will show you your API key and your host. You can grab whichever one you would like. So let's go ahead and grab this API key, go back into your application and replace that comment with the API key. And then let's go ahead and replace the host inside our application as well. Finally, to activate this plugin, let's go into our main.js and let's replace this. So now we're using our router and our PostHog plugin that we're getting from our plugins directory, posthog.js. Once you do this, we can do a npm run serve again. Now let's go back into our project and refresh our view analytics. And let's go ahead and go back and forth a little bit. And I'm going to refresh the screen twice. Now let's go back into your project settings and I'm going to click activity on PostHog. Here we can see that it's capturing the events of our page view and click link with text go to about. Now by default, PostHog captures a ton of information. That means you have to do less amount of work on your end. If we keep refreshing, we can see that there is going to be a bunch of different stuff that it captured. A couple page views, a page leave, and rage click, which means I click something a lot of times in a row. But what we can see immediately is that there's only 2 page views, which was the first time I reloaded a page and the second time I reloaded a page. Now, this is because PostHog only captures page view events when a page load is fired. Since Vue creates a single page application, this only happens once, and the Vue router handles subsequent page changes. If we want to capture every route change, we must write code to capture page views that integrate with the router. So let's go back to our main.js, and inside our main.js, we need to set up PostHog to capture page views in the router.after each. Additionally, you can use the next tick so that the capture event fires only after the page is mounted. So here we can see the next tick, and we can see that our application is going to be set up with our PostHog and the global properties. Lastly, we need to go back to our posthog.js and make sure to set the capture page view in the PostHog initialization config to false. This turns off the auto-captured page views and ensures you won't double capture page views on the first load. So now if we go back into our application by doing an npm run serve, and we open up our browser, we go to our view analytics, we can refresh once to get the application started, and then we can go back and forth a few different times. Now if we go back into our activity.posthog, and we reload, we can see that there is going to be a page view captured for each time we switch between the components using the Vue router. Now, beyond page views, there might be more events you want to capture. To do this, we can capture custom events in PostHog. To showcase this, let's update the homepage component. So if we go back into our homepage, we can go ahead and swap this out with some new code. Now this new code is going to have a lot of the original code, but we're going to be adding a button that has an @click for a capture custom event with a button that says click me. Now when this home button is clicked, we are going to be capturing a custom event which has username, and then the value is going to be Max the Hedgehog. So I'm going to close the application and just rerun it. And now if we go back into our application, we can see that there is a click me button. I'm going to click the click me button 3 separate times. Now let's go into our activity, PostHog, and let's reload the page. Here we can see that there are some events getting captured. However, we know that there's going to be a custom event that's called username that holds the value Max the Hedgehog. So we can go up here and say add filter, pass in username, where the value is going to be Max the Hedgehog. When you type that in, you can see the 3 separate events that were captured where the username is equal to Max the Hedgehog. This is specifically helpful for when you're filtering events in PostHog. Alright, well this is what we wanted to show when it comes to Vue and analytics using PostHog, and I will see you in the next video.